What if Texas was an independent country? My friends, this is a great question. But before I go into the video, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Now, link for the original video in my description. Let me say a couple of things. I think Texas is one of the most fascinating states in America. I really, really love Texas. It's one of the places I went to visit. But being an independent country, well, to be fair, I mean, it's so big that size is there for sure. But I wonder what route this video will take, if this will go in terms of natural resources, competing, for example, against the United States as, as in this case, as a neighbor. So this could be really, really fascinating. Let's play it, my friends.
This video is done in a collaboration with Wisecrack, so make sure to check out their video next. So this is a very special video for me, because as I'm sure many of you already know, I live in Texas and have lived here for nearly my entire life. So naturally, I've always wondered what Texas would be like if it was actually its own independent country. It used to be one once for a quick point in history between 1836 and 1846 before it got annexed by the United States, but what would this independent Texas look like today if it ever happened? First of all, Texas basically gets second place in everything inside the US. It has the second largest population behind California, the second largest economy also behind California, and the second largest area behind Alaska. But that doesn't mean that Texas is small. The Texan population stands at 28,300,000.
So to be fair, I will run a bit back. To be fair, we can make an argument also for California, not just Texas. Seems like California also could be a very independent country, if it was a country, of course.
But that doesn't mean that Texas is small. The Texan population stands at 28,305,000 people, which would make it the 50th most populous country in the world.
Well, if you guys want to know, Portugal is 10 million or 11 million. I mean, but Portugal is so small. Actually, our number is impressive comparing with Texas in the sense that you guys have so much land, that this number could be quite higher if everything was occupied.
Ahead of a lot bigger countries like Australia, while Texas is much smaller than...
What? Wait, okay, this one I was not aware. There is more people in Texas than in Australia. No chance. What? I thought Australia was like 50 million or something. Such a big country. But a lot of the country is desert, right? Okay, this actually makes sense, but also for the same logic goes for Texas, right? Wow.
Country in the world, ahead of a lot bigger countries like Australia. While Texas is much smaller than Australia in terms of land, it's much bigger than any country in Europe is except for Russia. Texas is so big on a European scale that you could fit all of Poland inside of it and still have room to drive around the edges. Wow. The town of Texarkana in the east is closer to Chicago.
Sorry, I have to... This video I will do a lot of pauses, so spoiler if you don't like that, it is what it is, my friend. Sorry, let me take a look at the comparison with Europe, because that's... oh my god. So basically it's the size of Spain and Portugal together. It's bigger than the UK. What? Is this the real size compared... Okay, this is bigger than France, and France is such a main force same goes for Germany in Europe, so... Italy is so small. Okay, this is amazing.
All of Poland inside of it and still have room to drive around the edges. The town of Texarkana in the east is closer to Chicago, Illinois than to the city of El Paso on the western side of Texas. If it was independent, Texas would be the 39th largest country in the world in terms of land area. But the final big thing about Texas is its economy. The Texan economy stands currently at a GDP of 1.599 trillion US dollars. Wow. This is enormous and would make Texas the 11th largest economy in the world, beating out other giant countries like...
So Texas alone is basically topped... Oh my god, Texas is almost as rich as Canada. How crazy is that? It's richer than Russia and South Korea. Oh my god, okay, I need some time to process this. This is insane. Did you guys know this actually? By the way, anyone watching from Texas, if so, leave me a comment, my friend. That would make my day. And remember one thing, you have an amazing, amazing state that I would love to visit one day.
South Korea, Russia, and Australia again. Big companies like American Airlines, AT&T, Dell, and ExxonMobil all have headquarters currently located in Texas, which
Okay, André, you are doing 1 million times pauses, I know. But isn't Elon Musk moving Tesla there or SpaceX? I'm not sure actually. But one of the guy owns so many companies that I don't know. But I believe I saw something on the news that is moving to Texas. I could be wrong, my friends, but I believe that's the case. Tell me in the comments if you know.
dramatically adds to this economic power. Texas is probably one of the few US states that actually could succeed as an independent country, and here are a few reasons why. First, it has a coast and therefore access to the world's shipping routes. Houston is the 8th busiest port in the United States and already has shipping routes connected with Brazil, the Netherlands, Germany, India, and China. Second, Texas is what's called a tax donor state, meaning that the Texan state government sends more money to the federal government than it receives back in benefits. For every $1 that Texas sends to Washington, it receives back just 94 cents. This means that Texas could fund all of their current government expenditures and still have enough left over to generate a nice budget surplus. Compared with other states like Mississippi, who gets $3 back from the federal government for every $1 they send, Texas would be in a great financial situation at first upon becoming independent.
Oh wow, that's crazy. But Mississippi is quite poor when comparing with Texas. I mean, Mississippi, Texas, different level. Mississippi is a beautiful state because I already reacted to stuff in Mississippi, and the South in general is tremendous. But you know, in terms of even resources, right? Texas is up there. It's crazy.
Final reason Texas would be self-sustainable is energy. Let's switch over to a map of the US electrical grid to see how that's the case. There are only 3 main power grids in the mainland United States that the US operates: the Western grid, the Eastern grid, and the Texan grid.
No.
Texas has its own fully independent electrical grid that
I was about to say that. Texas have their own... Well, but to be fair, if fails could be problematic, right? Or maybe they can connect with... I have no idea what I'm saying.
wouldn't be influenced by the rest of the US. If another state like, say, New Mexico decided to leave, the rest of the US could just shut off that part of the grid and deny them electrical access. Not so with Texas. But here's the really interesting part. Back in 1840, Texas used to be a lot bigger. Back then, it claimed about half of modern New Mexico, and also chunks of Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and even as far north as Wyoming. If for some reason the modern Texas was expanded back to this territory today, it wouldn't really add as much as you think. The population would only go up by a little over 1.2 million people, because besides the towns of Santa Fe in New Mexico and Pueblo in Colorado, most of this extra land is pretty rural. But back in 1840, the entirety of Texas was even more rural. Back then, the entire population of Texas was an incredible 70,000 people, basically the size of a small suburb of either Dallas or Houston is today. The only settlements you can see on
No, Shaz. Oh my! Oh, I love my friend. If you love this type of videos about history and you know, fun facts, leave a like, because I really like to react to this type of stuff, and I hope you guys also enjoy it. Of course, this type of videos I have to do a lot of pauses because, come on, this is really interesting, and it's important to take a second look. You know?
The entirety of Texas was even more rural. Back then, the entire population of Texas was an incredible 70,000 people, basically the size of a small suburb of either Dallas or Houston is today. The only settlements you can see on maps from back then were San Antonio, Houston, and Santa Fe, which were all basically islands of people separated by hundreds or thousands of kilometers of open and unpopulated land. Texas has changed dramatically.
Wait, I know I have Texans watching me. Did you guys know this, actually? I find this super interesting.
Dramatically since then, in just a little over 1.5 centuries, from a rural backwater on the fringes of the world to an economic powerhouse home to tens of millions. But there's one more thing that we haven't touched on yet, and that's if Texas could actually legally do this. The answer is a definitive no. The US government has made it explicitly clear that no states can ever leave the Union since the last time that was tried didn't really go over so well.
Because in the Civil War, this was the South versus the North. The South wanted to become independent, right? But Abraham Lincoln said no chance. Actually, he did not say no chance. You guys get the point.
Includes Texas, who can never ever hope to compete with the US military. Texas does have a pretty weird clause though in its constitution that allows the state to at any time divide itself into 5 different smaller states.
What?
Texas doesn't need permission from the US Congress to do this, and it would immediately quintuple their own power in the US Senate from having 2 senators up to 10 senators. This could enable Texas to influence the US government more heavily, but likely wouldn't help it to achieve independence. The vast majority of people living inside of Texas don't want independence anyway, but it's always just fun to speculate.
No, of course.
The secession of Texas is just one of the many themes of one of my all-time favorite games, Deus Ex. It's about
Okay, it's a sponsor. I guess you guys can take a look at the sponsor if you want. But let me say one thing, my friends. Okay. Wow, this is really fascinating because, so, not trying to go political, please be calm in the comments. But I remember watching some videos about the border that someone in a very higher position in Texas, maybe was a senator actually, was not very happy with Joe Biden when it comes to his policy on the border, right? Sorry. But then there was a lot of talk because some people said, yeah, he has to allow with what the government says. Other people said, no, Texas can actually have their own law. I have no idea, my friends, but this probably creates some tension if I had to guess. Specific countries that are on the border with Mexico, looking from outside, seems a bit unfair that they have to follow the entire law because they are the ones dealing. Am I making sense with this? But maybe, I mean, what I know to be fair, my friends. That said, thank you so much for watching. This was a fascinating one. I love Texas, as you guys are aware, so leave me a like if you also love Texas or if you end up enjoying the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye.